We need to talk, guys. So, I've seen recently everywhere on the internet, on Reddit, on LinkedIn, in many places really, that many people are struggling to find a job in the tech market, especially in Europe, but I guess also in the US and in other locations. I focus on Europe. My name is Nicola Madio. What I do for a living is help people get the best jobs in the tech market in Europe. Used to be a software engineer in Europe, worked in big tech companies, in consulting companies. I worked in Spain, in Zurich. I'm currently based in Zurich, and I've been here for a few years. And yes, so I do have some opinions, of course, on the tech employment market in Europe. And this video is unscripted, and my goal is simply to try to help basically all these people that online complain that they cannot get a job and that they're struggling. I do sense that there is a bit of pain, if you want to call it that way. And so, yeah, um, it's just I will mention probably throughout the video my products and services, but the purpose of this video is really like genuinely to try to say something to these people that maybe cannot afford to work with me and so on, and that can still use some help. So that's why. So it's gonna be probably a longer video, unscripted, and it's almost like a free coaching call I would do with a random person that maybe would tell me like, how hi Nick, I'm really struggling to find a job. I graduated last year, or maybe I don't know. I had a job, I lost it, and now it's 1 year since I'm struggling to find a new one, and I really need some help. I'm struggling, and so on. Because I do understand also that the problem of the problems like created by such a situation can be pretty important, and it can feel pretty painful, can feel very scary if you don't have like the perspective of an income. Of course, this is pretty tough in life. I've been there myself, of course. I think everyone has been there in some stage or another. In my case, I mean, many times before graduation, after graduation, while changing jobs, if you're like job hunting, it is stressful. You don't know if you're gonna get a job, you don't know when it's gonna come. In the meantime, of course, you are living, so you spend money, and it just doesn't feel very safe. Just the world doesn't feel too safe. In the end, we need financial safety, like to feel comfortable. So I do understand this, and maybe just I will. So this video is unscripted, as I mentioned. It's really like just I don't know. I open Reddit. I always see like the same stuff all the time, and I'm just like, let's just try to say something that can help these people. First of all, I mean, I just want you to understand that I've also been in this situation many times. For example, when I was. I mean, to be honest, okay, people now say that like the market is tough for software engineers, right? And fair, it's tougher than it has been in the past, but in the past it was too good in a way. You know what I mean? Like myself, I'm not a software engineer. I was not born a software engineer. Actually, I studied robotics engineering. Before studying robotics engineering, I went to. There is a plane. I went to, sorry for the noise, I went to a humanities high school. So basically, like, I mean, when I was 19, I never coded anything. I didn't even know what coding was. I went to this robotics engineering school. My background was in humanities. I was good at math, but like, I didn't have a lot of background in it. And so, yeah, it was harder for me than for someone with a more technical background, arguably. And nonetheless, then I realized also that actually what I was studying was kind of like off, because I was studying robotics and automation, and then I looked around a little bit, and I was studying in Italy, and the market for robotics and automation was not that great. Like, I mean, you could move away from Italy, maybe to like some smallish German town, and make like some decent money, but like really not a lot. And then you needed to live like in the crack of the ass, because of course it's not like they're building, automation machines and sent in Canary Wharf in London. So it didn't really seem all that appealing. And so that's when I switched to computer science. And this happened like quite late. I think I got my first internship. I kind of like tried to bridge computer science with what I was doing, and I found a computer vision internship in Milan, paid like 800 euro per month, and I was either 22 or 23. And this was like my first job. I didn't know how to do anything. And then after a while, I got another job as a software engineer in Zurich for like 80k per year. And I was like 24, 25, but I didn't really have a lot of background in it. So the market was easier, but for me it was harder, arguably, because I didn't study that. So I kind of had like to fight a bit hard to get any job, right? And this is also partially why after that first job I went back to school to kind of like do a master's degree in computer science, to make my background a bit more solid in that area, and have the time to actually like dive deeper in learning some things. And like part of the disadvantages, so to say, that I had were also like on the financial support side. I couldn't do the master right away after the bachelor. I had to like work for a couple of years to save some money and then do the master with this money that I had saved. And even before, I mean, I was born in a small town in Italy, 50,000 people in the center of Italy. The closest, biggest, big town nearby is like Ancona or Pescara. I don't know if you are familiar with Italy, but like, yeah, these are the biggest town near my town, and they are not big cities either. So the market was easier, but not for everyone, right? For some people who was not like coding since teenage years, or who didn't study computer science right away, it was harder than for other people. So also this notion that like today the market is so hard compared to the past, yeah, maybe it's true, but it's like a macro trend, and like there are also micro trends that matter a lot, in the same way as it was possible for me with the unconventional background, so to say, to get very good jobs in tech 5 years ago, 10 years ago. In the same way, it is possible for other people who are qualified to get good jobs today. So that's a fact. Need to remember to drink coffee. Shotting this cappuccino before it gets cold. It's a beautiful day today. Spring in Zurich. I think it's gonna be sunny more or less everywhere where you're watching this from. This is also like important. I mean, if everyone goes through like tough times, in a way you also need to a bit step back and enjoy what's free. Like if it is a sunny day, that's already like good, and you're healthy. You're probably young if you're watching this video, or not, I don't know, but either way, I guess yeah, you're watching a video in English about tech careers, so you're probably not all that fucked. There are people literally not far from here that are living in a war-torn country in Ukraine. There are other people in other countries going through some other like major shit. Even some people have health issues, others have big family problems. Yeah, so if you always remember to count your blessings. I don't want this video to sound like I'm telling people how to live. I'm just literally, yeah, imagining this person that writes this post, and kind of like imagine them as someone who is in college or just graduated, or maybe a bit older and just lost a job, and just talking to them as I would with a friend. So I think we talked about the first part, which is the market is worse, but it's not impossible. Now, I could also add like some results from my coaching program to prove that the market is not impossible. I don't want to sound salesy, but maybe I can find better examples. I mean, I don't care. If you think I'm doing this to sell you something, you can just go watch another video. So I'm just gonna say it like, in my coaching program, since I started it around 2 years ago, like people have been getting results consistently, and good results, not like just a job, but more like my coaching program is to get 6-figure remote jobs in Europe, and top paying tech jobs in Europe. So the focus is like big tech or high-paying remote startups, or in some cases high-paying companies in Switzerland. This is more or less the focus. And I mean, people get results. Like you can go, if you go to eurotoptech.com/coaching, and then you see the testimonials, you can see a lot of these people have name and surname. You can just find them on LinkedIn and see that they got the job. You can even DM them. I don't even advertise too much my coaching program, because usually I try to work with less than 5 people per month, and I have it already, like enough demand. So I don't really publish too much, but yeah, you can do this. And like last week, this week that's ended, a guy in my coaching program got big tech jobs in Zurich for like 250k, which is I'm the first one to say that Zurich and the Switzerland tech market right now is one of the worst in Europe in a way, because a lot of local companies are offshoring, nearshoring to cheaper hubs, and even big tech companies are not expanding here all that much. Like Google is hiring way more in Poland, for example, than in Switzerland. In Poland they went from 0 to 4,000 employees in 5-10 years, and in Zurich they've been like 4,000 or 5,000 employees for the past 10 years. So they have had several layoffs and they have hired few people, and if you count them too, more or less they've been stationary, whereas in Poland they kind of grew 3,000-4,000. So I'm the first one to say that it's not the best market here, but still last week someone got 250k for a big tech job, so that's facts. And last month or 2 months ago, I don't remember, less than 60 days ago, I think, like 30 to 50 days ago, another guy from Italy, a data scientist, got a remote job. He was making 50k with an on-site job, and then he got 180k, more or less, fully remote one. So he decided to stay in Italy, but he could move anywhere. And that's one. Less than 1 month ago, I think 3 to 5 weeks ago, another guy in Switzerland got a 200 or 250k remote job, but from here. And I mean, every month or a couple of months there is a result like this from my coaching program, and which is like a small program, just a few people. So this means that like if these people are getting these roles, things are not that bad, and these are top roles. Maybe you are watching this video, you don't want top roles. In this case, I don't really have anything to sell you. I don't care. This is not the purpose of this video. But if these people are able to get these jobs, then it's also possible to get way easier jobs, right? Good. It's important to also understand this, because if you just end up in a blame loop or like a victim loop where you think the market is doomed, everything is set against you to succeed, and there is no way, that nothing you can do, it's very comforting in a way, because you have nothing to do. So it's kind of like the easier thing to believe. On the other hand, it's also the more useless things to believe, and the worst one to believe for, in the end, results and well-being in the medium term. Maybe in the short term, you're like, yeah, today, today for me, like this is Saturday, also I'm recording this video. So if you're someone like, yeah, on the weekend, I don't do the work because I'm chilling, and the market is doomed anyway, then it's a nice excuse to not do anything on a weekend, but it doesn't really serve you in the midterm, then next week you're gonna still be here, and your situation will not have changed. So I would recommend also exiting a bit from this victim mindset, not looking too much at Reddit or places where people are like complaining a lot about these things, because yeah, there might be some truth to it, but it's not as big as people say, first of all. Otherwise people wouldn't get result or wouldn't get jobs, everyone would be unemployed. That's not the case at all. And even if you look at like jobs opening data, it's not necessarily true that it's like there is way less jobs than before, like, yeah, there is less jobs for sure, but it's not that night and day as well. Also, it's not that black and white, because for example, you can have markets that plateau or shrink, while other markets expand. So, for example, like a few years ago, I track jobs on my job board. I have a job board for top jobs in Europe, top tech jobs in Europe, and I see there like what happens a bit with the statistics. For example, 2 years ago, Germany wasn't hiring that much, but like now it's hiring quite a bit. So maybe 2 years ago it wasn't like a good horse to bet on, but today you can. Same for the Netherlands. And a few years ago, for example, Poland was expanding like crazy, and it would have been much easier to get a job there than elsewhere in Europe. Like I'm talking about like 1 or 2 years ago. Now they've hired a lot already, so they're still hiring, they're still growing quite a lot. But for example, yeah, you see the market change a little bit also based on roles, and then maybe you can pivot a little bit your profile to the roles or the field that are getting more demand. For example, AI. Right now is a good field to bet on a little bit. It doesn't mean you need to like completely change what you do. If you're like a backend engineer, you don't need to become an AI engineer, but maybe like if you're looking for a job, try to learn the new tools that you can use to have a more modern and productive software development workflows. Or, for example, even just getting a bit accustomed with working with some AI APIs, such that when you apply to jobs, if now it's like a moment where a lot of AI companies are getting funding, they hire backend engineers, and you don't need to be an AI engineer. But if you can show that you're familiar with it, you build like a project and use some APIs, it's already a good sign. So like you need to spot the trends also, and follow them a bit, both geographically and tech stack wise. Mm, so what did we say? We said a bit of the mindset thing. Then we say that the market is not as bad, or it's not bad in the black and white way some people claim. I shared a bit of my experience looking for jobs. I didn't share too much about it actually. Maybe I can share a bit more just to make it a bit like to also for people to understand that it's not easy for anyone. At the end of the day, everyone has to like roll up their sleeve, and everyone goes through like tough moments. It's not unique to you if you're going through like a tough moment right now. So I can consider myself fairly accomplished right right now, and I'm fairly happy with where my career has gone. Just like some highlights in the past now I'm 31, almost 32, and when I was 28, I landed 200k jobs in big tech in Zurich, and this was very good, of course. Before that, also I had like wait, is my phone dying? No. I had other good jobs in Zurich, six figures. And then, since a couple of years, I started making content on LinkedIn. In particular, that's where I started about tech careers in Europe, which was a topic that I researched a lot. And from that, I built a coaching program that since then has been quite successful. And then I built a job platform, Eurotop Tech. More recently, I built another one called Remote Goats, more focused on remote life and careers. And content-wise, I've grown LinkedIn to 60,000 followers, my newsletter to 15,000 subscribers, and recently I started posting on Twitter, and it's going also fairly well there. And I have this little YouTube channel, and yeah, basically like with my previous jobs, I was able to save a good amount of money. Right now, with this new venture that I have, it pays the bills, while the other money that I saved before, they are invested. And I have location flexibility. I work on things that I'm passionate about. I have a hot girlfriend. I don't know. Like I feel like pretty in a good spot right now. But at the same time, it wasn't always like this. And in particular, when I mentioned that I went back. I mean, I don't want to now turn this into like a list of all the things that were hard in my life, but it wasn't necessarily like always easy at all. Actually, I would say. Most recently, when I mentioned earlier that I went back to do this master's degree after my first job in Zurich. Well, I did that, and then I focused on getting some jobs. One of my goals with this master was to then enter big tech after the master, and focusing on internships, which I think it's a good strategy. I would recommend it. Like if you want an easy way to enter big tech, one way is to go back to school for a master and then do some internships in big tech because they're easier than getting full-time roles, and then you can get a return offer for a full-time role. And well, I landed quite a few internship offers in big tech in Europe, including Databricks Amsterdam, Airbnb Paris. Um, I think Uber was also in the last stages. But then, while I was doing this and I had these offers, also COVID happened, and then all these offers were rescinded. And this was quite a problem because, as I mentioned, I paid for the master myself, and I worked a couple of years before to save for the master, and then I had a timeline. Like I have this amount of money to last for this amount of time, and then I need to get new jobs. And well, I managed to get this job offer, so everything was going according to plan. But then with COVID, the offers got rescinded, and therefore my plan got shaken up quite a lot. And then quickly I ran out of my money. Basically, I had to lend like 3K from one of my friends in Milan, and 2K from my mom. And then I was like 5K down, had to leave Milan where I was doing my master, went back to my hometown. And during COVID, like wrapping up my master, trying to find jobs from there, 5K in debt, living with my mom, like really not that great. I was also not that young actually by then. I think I was like 25, 26, and I was 5K in debt, living with my mom in a small town in Italy. And not great, like not a big win if we want. But yeah, I mean, I just kept grinding. I was also stressed as fuck because, as you can imagine, like this financial situation and career situation with the whole COVID thing, it didn't feel like really promising at all. So also like a lot of stress and not being in the mood for relaxing and so on, because I was in debt and I had to find a job and so on. So kept working every day, every evening, kind of like 24/7 for quite a while, to be honest. And then I landed like a little research internship in Madrid where I could do my master thesis and kind of like pay for the bills without being in my mom's apartment. And then after that, I got an internship at Amazon in Barcelona, and then I went back to Zurich. I found another job there. So like, but until I found the job in Zurich, actually I was still in debt because I mean in Spain, like this research internship didn't pay a lot, and also the Amazon internship, it paid well, but yeah, I wasn't able to repay the debt, so I kind of like stayed in debt for like over a year, actually 1 year and a half, which is not great, like it's quite embarrassing actually, I would say, to be in debt with a friend of yours of 3K, then you pay like 1K and so on. So yeah, everyone goes through tough times. That's what I wanted to share with the stories. And before that as well, I had other tough times. And right now, as I mentioned, things are feel pretty lucky, because I'm able to work on my own thing. I have money saved up. I'm just 31. And I've been doing this for like 1 or 2 years, and before that I had a great job. So in a way there is a lot of blessings that you can see now, but also a lot of tough times that went before that, and some of it is related also, because you also create your own challenges, and then the way you approach challenges also create other outcomes more positive. So this is maybe a good next topic to talk about, which is like the grinding part of things. So the people that I help with the coaching program usually are people that grind a lot, because if you are like spending, I don't know, 1K per month for the coaching to get like a 6-figure job, sometimes not even 100K but more, like 200K, 300K, of course you're not gonna get these jobs while chilling, right? Like it's someone who is grinding. Like it's not uncommon at all for people in my coaching program to be working on weekends or evenings. And I'm pretty sure that every one of those, like complaining on Reddit and so on, don't work as much. And this is a bit of an interesting topic. I don't think everyone should like grind 24/7, it shouldn't be mandatory in my opinion. but at the same time you need to understand that also like there is a correlation between how much you grind and the results you get. If you're not getting any job, you need to grind a bit more. I think there is no way to sugarcoat this, you know. Like if you're not getting a job but your weekends are not completely packed, I think you should pack them at least until you get a job. Then you can decide. For example, in my case, like since I went back to the master in 2019 until I got the job at Oracle in Zurich in 2022, 2023. So like these 3-4 years, I grinded a lot, like 24/7. I barely went out. If I went out with friends, it would be like other friends that were doing interview prep or things like this. And I would work like morning, lunch, evening, like afternoon, evening, weekends, 3, 4, 5 years, and also like with a pretty good intensity. And this was stressful as fuck. I had also some, you could say, like some health issues, kind of like some stomach problem every now and then. I mean, I started like to feel this stress. So this is something that I did then. And since I started my business, also I would say I work almost every day, but a bit more relaxed. So now like I'm doing this choice that like the way I handle this business is more relaxed. I don't want to scale it to like 100K per month. I'd rather have a more chill life and scale it less. And this is a choice. So I don't think that everyone should like grind, until destruction. But if you're not getting the results you want, or you are in a problematic situation, then very likely you need to be grinding a bit more. And that's another thing. Then I think we can get to some practical steps that you can implement to help you out. So you need to also like figure out the basics a little bit. Like I think a lot of problems can be avoided by avoiding like really dumb stuff. I have a lot of people that like DM me on LinkedIn, and they were like, hi sir, I know Java. Do you have a job for me? It's like, bro, like what the fuck? Like, why are people wasting time with things like this? It's obvious you're not gonna get a job like this. So like, you need to also to cut the bullshit a little bit and educate yourself a little bit on the basics. I will try to now maybe. I feel like my voice is running out, so I'll try to keep this one short. But if you want to expand on Eurotop Tech, which is my job platform, there is the yearly tier, which costs 89 euros, which is not a lot, to be honest. And there you have like a few guides where there are some things in detail, like how to do your CV, how to build a strategy for your career, how to do networking, how to take care of your LinkedIn. So that's gonna be helpful if you want to expand, as well as there are like oh porca troia, there's like an insect here. I think it's a spider. And there is also like some AI tools. So basically some AI reviewer tool for your CV. You can put the CV, and then it helps you iterate on it. This is kind of like I try to automate some things that we do in my coaching program, so people can do it without paying too much. And then there is also another AI tool that helps you like with the career strategy part. So this is kind of like a bit of a framework that I created. I call it skills pattern analysis, where you kind of like match your skills with your target jobs, and then it helps you build a strategy based on that. You can check it on the platform to understand a bit more what that is. So if you want to educate yourself, I would say this is a good spot. Then, with the subscription, you also get access to these top jobs. If you are unemployed and cannot get any job, I'm not sure how these top jobs will be helpful to you, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah. But actually, before we cover the basics, let me just mention this thing, which it's a theory. I don't know if it is true, but it could be a theory. Like in a way, if you are targeting like top jobs, there is a clear set of things you need to do. Like I think the success rate in my coaching program is like, I don't accept anyone, so that of course makes it a bit biased, because I only accept people that I feel like they're smart, they're skilled, they're hardworking, and they have realistic goals. So there is a bit of a selection bias. but really, like, I think 80+% of people get the result in less than 6 months, some in 3-4 months, some in 2-3 months. And there are like, I wouldn't say it's always the same thing, because it's very important to kind of like understand a little bit, what's your lane, and build the right strategy. But I would say, if you do like certain things right, you get the top job guaranteed. If you don't get it in the first 6 months, you will get it like, and you keep going on it, and you have a sustainable process to go through things that is not gonna get you burned out and out of the game. You eventually will get it like in 2-3 years. I mean, even myself, I mentioned before, I don't have a CS background. I'm hardworking, yes, but I'm also like not that disciplined. Like when I say that the periods where I work 24/7, probably some of the time I would waste also. I don't know. Or maybe also I'm not too smart in certain ways, especially with regards to tech. I wouldn't say it's my like, area of genius. What I'm doing right now is much more my area of genius, because it combines, I have a bit more of a like diverse skill sets, like for example, I'm good at writing, my content goes very well. I'm also good at like prototyping and building fast and understanding a little bit the users and the market. So I mean, this is quite different. My job at Oracle, I was doing like infrastructure backend for MySQL, like it's like super technical. So if I myself was able to get like to these jobs just by doing the simple stuff but well, I think like I would say almost anyone can do it. I would say I'm smarter than average, maybe, but I think if you are in tech, you're also kinda. I don't know. Anyway, so basically, my theory, maybe it's a theory, that it's almost easier to get a top job than to get like a random job, because for a top job there is like a for example, a lot of people know big tech companies, and everyone knows that in these big tech companies, the interview is a lot like lead code, right? And sometimes system design. And for example, you can just like grind lead code for a while, and I mean grind it well, also like understanding the algorithm, data structures, knowing how to interact with the interviewer and communicate well, and all this stuff, scope the problem. And yeah, I mean, you can do that, and in a way, it's more simple than like, because then if you go applying randomly, every company might have their own interview process, and it's not necessarily easier. Maybe they start asking you, I don't know, some niche Angular questions or some low-level Java stuff, and it's like I just don't, maybe happen not to have used that. So in some ways, I think targeting like top jobs is easier. Especially big tech. If we're saying targeting a high-paying remote job, it's a bit different. I would say it's harder than big tech. It is still possible. People in my coaching program still get it, but usually they do have more skills. I would say that people attend their big tech, not necessarily, but you will be tested for the role. So usually they are not super junior. They're like either mid-level or senior, because yeah, if you're applying for like a company that hires, I don't know, pays 150K for a data scientist or for a backend engineer, they will test your data science or backend engineering skills also. They will also ask some stuff similar to lead code. Yeah, but like big tech only asks lead code, for example, pretty much. More or less. Nowadays they're changing it a little bit, interview processes, but so I don't know, maybe there is also this theory where in a way it's more convenient to just grind hard for the top roles, because in a way you kind of need to grind anyway, and at least if you grind for the top roles you have a few streamlined strategies, and also the reward is bigger, like you get more money at least, and better jobs, and better curriculum, and better upsides. So maybe, I don't know, you can ask yourself this, maybe this was never your goal, but you can sit with yourself and be like, should I grind to get like a normal job, or should I just grind a bit more and try to get the best jobs? I don't know. I think you need to do kind of both, because also if you're unemployed and you only target like big tech and then you don't enter big tech, you need to have plan Bs, plan B, plan C, I'd recommend. So yeah. But I guess if you're unemployed, you need to grind, that's for sure. Find a way to make it sustainable. In Eurotop Tech, actually, there is also a guide on how to make it sustainable, because I would say, in my experience with the coaching program, the number one reason people fail is because they kind of burn out. throughout the job search process, especially if you have a job and you want to get a better job. Can get pretty intense, and after 4, 5, 6 months you can get pretty tired if you don't do things mindfully. If you're unemployed, you shouldn't get burned out, I think, from just a job search, because I mean, what the hell. But yeah, just keep that in mind also, and try to do, I don't know, whatever works for you, sports, or be outside every now and then. If you can have some good relationships, that's great. I understand that like relationships, maybe it's a bit a tricky one, because if you're very busy, you cannot like, build and maintain a very vibrant social life. But I don't know, at least one friend or two friends or some colleagues, find someone else that's going through like the same interview processes as yours. You can link with people online on Reddit. In my platform, there is a Discord group. So if you enter, there is a Discord group there. If you have a girlfriend, great. I mean, there are dating apps nowadays, so you can also just like go on dates and at least have some, human connection, and can cuddle with someone or something like that, or with your parents. I mean, anyway, just some things: sport, relationships, being outside, having a creative hobby also is great. It can really put your mind off the whole interview things. If you only think about that, after 3 months you start to go crazy a little bit. You need to have like some reliefs: watch a football match, play some music, I don't know, write a story, like try to get your head off that as well. um, okay, so we were discussing that you can assess if to target top roles or not, and other things you can do then. Basically, so the basics are, your CV needs to be done well. As I mentioned, I have a guide on my platform for that. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to pay, you can just search on YouTube like Google CV, something like Google CV review or something like that. And there are some videos from Google, like make sure that the YouTube channel is the Google one, where there are recruiters explaining to you how to build a CV. These videos are pretty good already, so you can start there, and that's gonna give you an idea. Then you need to apply the things for real. If you are, again, like if you purchase like a subscription to Eurotop Tech, you will have this AI CV reviewer, which is gonna be great. Otherwise, if you don't want to pay for that, one thing you can do, I think, if you use Gemini in particular, you can give the YouTube video that you watched from Google, give it to Gemini, and then give it your CV, and then ask it to review it. And then you can get some feedback, because I feel like some people, they look at the stuff. The reason why I built the CV reviewer in my platform is because there was a guide for the CV, and then sometimes people would like send their CV to me for reviewing, and then I would be like, bro, I've read the guide, and it's like, I don't know. So people sometimes can like read the guide or watch the video and not somehow fail to understand what they need to do. And that's why feedback is important. If you are on my platform, there is this CV reviewer. Otherwise, if you don't want to buy that, you can try with Gemini and give it your CV for review. This is going to be important. You need to have a good CV, because if your CV is shit, it's hard. Second thing, your LinkedIn also need to be cleaned up. I have a guide on that. Otherwise, I mean, you can search the internet. I'm sure there's gonna be some stuff to help you out. You need to educate yourself. You need to like allocate time to educate yourself. This is one of the things you need to do in the evenings and in the weekends. Like, you need to learn and educate yourself and know how to learn this job search thing. This is as important as learning the tech thing, honestly. Like, it's just as important. So you need to learn this stuff, make time for it, watch some videos, read some content, do some research on how to build a LinkedIn profile, how to use LinkedIn. Once you have a good CV, you have a good LinkedIn, you need to understand like what jobs to target and what areas to target. You cannot target all the jobs, okay? You cannot target like data scientist, front-end developer, CEO. Like, if you do like this, you're targeting nothing in the end. So you need to choose some lanes. Then you need to understand where these lanes are. For example, in my case, when I did this type of work, I was like, okay, in the end, I think my lane probably, which is partially like what I like or what is convenient or what I can do well. In my case, was kind of like back-end engineering, potentially full stack, although I'm not that good at front-end. Potentially infrastructure, which I also like, something like this. And then this was back then. Now what I do is on the tech side is completely different. Now I would say on the tech side I'm more of a product engineer because I build the platforms, my platforms end to end. But anyway, back in the day, this was my conclusion. And then I was like, okay, let me see which companies are hiring in this field, what technologies do they use, blah, 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 which locations I like. So I was targeting Switzerland and Zurich. And then I saw which companies were hiring, especially within big tech in these domains, and then what technologies they used. In particular, like every company doing backend and distributed systems in big tech in Zurich, at the time at least, used Java. So I was like, okay, I'm going to dive a bit deeper in Java, for example. And you need to do certain reasonings like this, you know. Yeah, I would say, for example, if you're targeting startups and you want to do full stack and you want to end up remote, I think it's wise to become like more skilled on the TypeScript, Node.js, and that ecosystem there, because a lot of new companies use that. And it doesn't matter so much where you get your first few jobs if your goal is remote. So you can just like put up a couple of years of experience as a full stack engineer using TypeScript in your CV, and then just grow up from there, like remote. You know, you can start from any job, even on site, whatever. Then you can maybe find like a remote job for like 50, 70K. Once you have that, you can shoot for like, you can apply to the coaching program, and then you can shoot for some 100K, 150K full stack, or even back end if you get tired by then, depending if you like more infra or front end. You also need to be aware of trends. Right now, the trends are a bit changing. For example, you cannot be just a front-end developer anymore. If you are a front-end, now it's full stack. If you were a back-end, now you need to also do infrastructure. And yeah, so this is another thing. If you want to, yeah, it's too long. Now I cannot basically go through all the, possible cases, but you need to understand a bit what lane to target, what area of tech, which locations. And about locations, I would say try to target locations which are easier. If you're struggling to find a job, be open to relocation. If you're not open to relocation, like your life is harder. But if you are open, then target markets that are hiring more. I can tell you that like Poland is the strongest market right now. The UK is also quite strong. Although this year, there is also a rebound from other markets that have been more quiet in the past few years, but now rebounding, like Germany, the Netherlands. Spain is a good one too, because the competition is very low. So sorry for Spanish bros looking at this, but guys, like every time I post about big tech in Spain on LinkedIn, like all the Spanish are like, oh no, there are no such high-paying jobs. Like, bro, there are. It's crazy. So I would recommend Spain because I think people are just like disconnected. Like the top end of the market is free to roam in. So this is easy game. Poland has a bigger market, but people are way more locked in. And if you're competing against Polish, people from Belarus, Ukraine, and Eastern Europe, is not the same as competing with Spanish. It's like like night and day. So you need to account for all these things and choose what's smart. If you don't want to move because of some reason, you want to stay close to family and friends, whatever, it's okay. But then you really need to network hard in your city. I would say go to meetups and stuff like that. Try to network. Networking is important in general, I would say. I'm not so much a meetup guy, or at least now. In the past, I did it a bit more. Like when I was in Zurich, I had a little group of friends that were like all targeting big tech and so on. And it worked well. For then, it can be useful also just like to make some friends in a way. Nowadays, I don't do too much of this stuff. Now that I make content, for me, online is like way better for networking than like going to events and stuff like that, because the scale is just bigger and you can be way more niche. Whereas if you go like on site, it's always gonna be a bit of a more general purpose group, So I think networking online is pretty underrated. DMing people on LinkedIn, it is very, very useful. If you're looking for a job, it's very useful, and you need to do it very well, and it's very difficult. So I would say this is pretty tough. The guide that I wrote on LinkedIn in my platform tries to help a bit on this, but to be honest, this is maybe the hardest thing, because applying with a referral, of course, is way better than just spraying your curriculum, and getting a referral is not easy, but it's possible. I would recommend you to just practice it and take the time. Don't DM everyone. Just try to spend more time, like read the guide that I wrote there, really, if you can afford the service. But in short, basically, like, you need to find people that you can connect to in some ways. Maybe they are your same nationality, they went to your same school, they had a similar career trajectory than yours. Like, you need to create a human connection with these people, and have a bit of a conversation. Maybe ask them for an advice, like something. Give them an easy way to help you, so they will feel like, okay, I'm not an asshole, I'm just gonna write 3 lines on LinkedIn and help this person out. And then you have created a connection. But then don't harass them. You need to also like maintain the relationship good. Try to give them something, although this is hard. Yeah, this is a very long topic, but don't do like, oh, hi sir, do you have a job? This like removes a waste of time. Don't ask for a referral with the first message. You're never gonna get it that way. If you wanna do this, you can try Blind. So teamblind.com. It's not my site. I'm not affiliated, but this is a good one to get referrals, especially in big tech. You need to log in with your company email, and then, for example, let's say you want a referral for Google, you can type like Google referral in the search bar, and you can see other posts that people did about that. And you can either, some people in this post like commented, yeah, I can refer you. You can DM these people and ask if they can refer you, or you can create a similar post like those for whatever company you want. And this is a good way to get a referral in big tech. Otherwise, try to connect with the founders, with other people at your level there, with some people doing what you do but there. So for example, if you're like someone focused on front end, you can ask some front-end engineer at the company you want to apply to, and you can ask like, hey, what skills are most required in your day-to-day job here? I saw this position, I'm quite interested. I also do this and that, and I was wondering if my profile would be strong enough, or how I could prepare well if I want to like apply to this role in the future, and something like that to maximize my chances. This is another thing you can do. So, but the most important thing now to conclude, like, this is a long, as you understand, it's a long process, a long journey. There is many variables, many decisions you need to make. And what I would recommend is just like this, like, find a way to sustainably grind and learn. Like, just learn what you need to learn to get to the next step, and that's it. Just do it and just allocate time to it. Make sure not to burn out. If you burn out a bit, it's also okay. I mean, at the end of the day, like, life is not easy. If now you're going through a tough time and you need to like make some sacrifice, do it. And later on, you will be able to like take a breather. But life is not easy for anyone. I try to also share my experience here to, even now things are good. It wasn't always easy. It's not easy now. Even now I have a business. A month can be up, a month can be down. You never know. I always need to be on top of things. I create content on multiple platforms alone. I build products all by myself. Like, it's a lot of work still. So yeah, things are not easy for anyone at the end of the day. Grind a bit, learn the useful things. Don't waste time. Leverage the best tools you can have. AI is a great tool nowadays. It can help you with a lot of decisions. If you can afford more custom stuff, even better. You can try my services, my platform, the guides, the jobs. It can save you time. It can help you learn stuff. If you have the budget, this is mostly, I would say, if you are unemployed and you don't have money, I don't think my coaching makes a lot of sense. But if you have a job and you want a better job, you can consider a product like a service like my coaching program. And don't be too harsh on yourself also. Like, in the end, if you're unemployed and so on, don't start having like self-esteem issues. You one day you can be a loser, next day you can feel like you're winning on top of the world. So no one is a loser, in my opinion. No one is a winner. It's just like we're all the same. And it's just about like doing the next thing you can do, and I don't want to say don't giving up, because it sounds too cringe, but in a way, yes, to be honest, like just not giving up, and just keep doing what you need to do and whatever, and try to, like, go out for a walk if it is sunny, go on a date, drink a beer with a friend, and just also try to enjoy life for these simple things. All right, I think I ran out of my voice. This is 50 minutes. I hope that this is gonna help some of you, or at least keep you motivated. I post content every day on LinkedIn and Twitter, so if you want to just stay connected, you can follow me there. I have a newsletter called European Engineer, europeanengineer.com, where I publish 1 or 2 articles every week. You can also subscribe to there. It's free. And I'll see you the next time. If you're watching this YouTube channel now, I don't know, because I have a few different videos on different topics. You can comment what topics you want me to dive deeper in the future, and I will try to go to that. I don't have too much time because, as I mentioned, I do content on these other platforms, social media, plus I work on my platforms, plus I have the coaching program. So YouTube is kind of like something that I do when I have time, but nonetheless, if you comment what's the things that most useful to you, or more curious, or more entertaining, whatever, I can prioritize that for next time I record. And with that, I will salute you and wish you all the best. Bye, guys.